Kevlar. I don't know if maybe you were wearing Kevlar.
Well, it kind of chafes on occasion.
It does. Oh, you need
really
baby Gold Bond. Gold Bond is awesome. It's medicated.
Good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
exactly. And I wear the sort of sacred undergarment, which is also a performance engineer's sacred undergarment. That's also very helpful. I find but yeah, putting together a SWAT team. And so those of you that have done this in the past, you might sort of have the idea now. It's like, well, yeah, there's a SWAT team, and you get kind of, it's the same old, same old. You never know. This year could be different. And so it's important to be prepared not only with the call list and set some expectations on the work schedules, but if you've done this before, the things that are really a pain. One is, can we get a hold of everyone at 3 a.m? So do a dry run. James, you had this suggestion. I think it's a great idea. Wake everyone up when on a dry run emergency 1 a.m. How long does it take for them to get logged in, connected, debugging, triaging, and come up with a fake problem? And maybe even.
And you know what, Mark? Everybody will hate this, but it is the best thing to do. Make sure that you've identified appropriately all your team members, not just including team members for all of your hosts, your OSs, your services, but don't forget those third-party vendors that you have as a part of your architecture, either for hosting providers, CDN providers, things of that nature.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you have points of contact for all of them, and do a dry run a week or 2 weeks before the actual event that you're expecting, which would be Black Friday or Cyber Monday, and just say, it's coming. We're not going to tell you when. It could be anywhere within the 24-hour cycle. And if you've got issues, fix them then. If you need a backup individual for certain elements of your architecture or your app stack, get them locked and loaded at that point.
Yeah, if you need someone like James or myself, which primarily we do a lot of software testing, which is fairly proactive, but we've been involved in many SWAT teams together and fixing performance issues as they're happening. And
keep in mind, performance testers, really good ones, have a keen architectural eye.
Yeah.
And that can be really useful when you're looking across the application stack to try to identify what the issue is.
So finding those kinds of people, but get them hooked up in the procurement system, get them contractually done. That can take a month. If you start now, you'll have them hooked up by October. Put them on call. So maybe there's a retainer if you need that external help, but make it sure it's smooth. So if you want to reach out to somebody that knows Dynatrace or knows Keynote or knows SOSTA using maybe mPulse, watching what's happening around the world, anyone that's going to do proactive performance analysis, make sure you get those sometimes the escalation from your core team. If there's latency in getting extra help and then extra help, that can slow things down. So making sure you open up your top 10 resource and getting them plugged in early, make sure they've got logins, make sure everyone's, there's a long checklist to make sure you're prepared for the SWAT team to do that. And then I think also, James, on the management standpoint, I think it's important if you've done this a couple of years, sometimes, the VPs don't always like to get that call at 3 a.m. and suddenly there's after action reporting and all sorts of stuff. If you're in a managerial position over the SWAT team, maybe it's time to do some refinement on who you're reporting the escalation to, what the path is, what the time frames are for escalation, response for updates, maybe even the format of reporting, right? So if you've got simple graphs, what the key performance indicators are, maybe it's time after you've done this a couple of years, think about how you're reporting and make your communication upward more elegant or more effective. And
now, Mark, I think clearly defining those gates for when individuals are called and under what circumstances to even out the flow of the communication. So if someone does receive a call at a fairly senior level of management, they know that all of these particular gates have been hit, and it is worth their time to drop whatever they're doing and actually pick up the phone, take time away from their family, and go and handle the situation because it is that critical. No senior manager wants to get a call for some reason that can be handled at a lower level.
Yeah, most of those guys aren't technical anyway. So you're making an escalation call for permission to acquire resources. So if this is a last minute call for an expert on November 16th, you should have lined these people up. Even if they're just on call, get your resources lined up. The other thing you call for those guys on VPs is, hey, we're letting you know so you can notify other business managers that something is really screwed up and we're going to miss a window, we're going to crash, whatever it is. So you make sure you set an expectation with the senior management. I'm calling you for extra resources. I'm calling you for notification on increased risk. I'm calling you because there's some negative PR that's about to come out. The worst case scenario is just make sure that they know, there's only really 4 or 5 reasons that somebody gets that senior management call on such a technical thing like performance. But don't forget, it's risk to the business. It's crashing. It's PR. You're also stressing your workforce. You might escalate to management to say, guys, we need to treat the team. They just worked 72 hours straight. We need extra money to support taking these guys, to Hawaii for the weekend and thanking them or getting them an extra Christmas gift.
Hold on, Mark. Did you just say Hawaii?
Yeah, let's go to Hawaii. I mean, seems nice there.
I've never gotten that call.
Me neither. But if I say it here and then managers do it out there, maybe it will happen.
Yeah. You want to take the guys to Hawaii and gals after the holiday period, because that's when your balance sheets turn from red to black.
Yes.
That's why it's called Black Friday.
Yes.
Absolutely. You want to take all the people that made that critical to Hawaii. You want to take them to Kona Beach Resort. The cell phones don't work there, but that's okay. You want to
free pina coladas.
They have great seafood there. I highly recommend it.
Highly recommend it. Yeah, just 1% of your profits over the holidays. Take care of your people, because if you a SWAT team can burn you out, and if you burn them out, you lose them and you got to start over with a whole new crew next year, and that never works out well. Now, James, there's always the key technical things we encourage listeners to go back and listen to on the holiday stuff. One, of course, is making sure your carts are completely cleaned out. And
yes.
Once again, what was your idea now? Maybe getting some interns to go and jump in and clean out carts and stuff?
So on the cart side of the house, it's really too late to change your architecture at this point. But structurally, if you have dead items in carts that are stored because you're storing items in the cart for years, go clean the dead items out of the cart. Things that you no longer have in inventory, you no longer offer as a product or service.
It's the 100 by 100 rule.
Yeah, just delete them. Okay, yeah. Now for those 100 by 100 items, if it's more than 100 days old, send an email to that customer and say, do you want it? Do you not want it? Mark, it's worth it for you to pay an intern to pick up the phone and call them, track them down and say, you've got 100 items in your cart for an entire Broadway musical.
Yeah.
To pick an item, for costumes. How can we move this forward?
Yeah, this is a sales opportunity. If they had a legitimate reason to actually have 100 or 200 items in their cart, they maybe have a standing order and they keep the same amount in the cart and they just sort of keep refreshing it. There's all sorts of weird customer behavior, but somebody with that much stuff in a cart might be worth it to call them up, and one sale would pay for all of the interns.
It's worth it to physically touch that customer.
Oh, wait.
Let them know as well.
No touching. Well, not physically.
Verbally.
Well, you could verbally could still be dangerous too. Just a normal sales process.
Like giving good sales.
Just a normal sales call would be fine.
Yeah, just a normal sales call. Hey, customer service. We happen to notice that you have X amount in your cart. We want to make sure that we're providing the highest customer service to you. How can we get this to move forward? Oh, well, I just put all that in my cart just to see the price of it. You can delete it, that type of thing. The trick is here, you want to get all the weight out of the system.
Yep.
Because I can tell you that almost every organization out there that has a permanent or semi-permanent cart has a cart which has tens of thousands of items in it.
Yes, from running synthetic monitoring and prod. Yeah,
it could be for any reason. It could be Bubba looking at fishing lures, and he just keeps adding them to
because
the
he
cart.
has
It could be
because they maybe you
synthetic
don't have a wish list on your site, maybe you don't have a favorites,
Yeah.
maybe the guy doesn't know how to use bookmarks in his browser.
Exactly. It could be for any reason, but you have that one cart or multiples of the cart that have tens of thousands of elements in them, and somewhere during the holiday season, that person's going to show up, and they're going to load their cart.
And they might not even buy anything. All they have to do is open one
they're
cart.
Just going to add it to the cart, see what the price is, then they're going to price shop it someplace else, see if they get a better price, and they may not ever buy it from you, particularly if you're the manufacturer. But when that cart gets unloaded, it could be a stop the world event, not only across one server but multiple servers.
Stop the world.
And so you want to remove that dead weight from the system in order for the entire system to perform better. This is no different than walking through a physical store and picking up the abandoned carts that are sitting there with either no material or material in them, but they're just clogging the aisles, getting them out of the aisle so the people that are actually going to give you revenue can come through the system and use it more efficiently.
And also give you revenue on the campaigns that you're really running, where it's going to be one or two items.
Yes.
You put in a bundle pack or a special SKU, bang, 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 get through the process really quick. And all it takes is one Bubba with a bunch of fish lures to bring down your whole site. Don't be Bubba.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reminded of an event that Greg Kudos ran into several years ago, and actually it's probably true today. He went back to B&H Photo in New York after 3 years and found a lens for a camera that was still in his cart after 3 years.
3 years.
And if Greg has a lens in his cart after 3 years, you know he's not the only one. And B&H Photo is spending dollars on, and probably a lot of dollars to store
persistent
those
cart crap. So the other tip I'll give is always on database queries. And what happens typically over the course of a year is that app developers move ahead building new features and new features and new features. And sometimes in load testing, the focus will be on the app. And sometimes, especially if you're testing in scaled environments, you can't really generate enough load on your test database to represent production. And so even in your test lab, if you can figure out what are the top 20 queries, and maybe even go to your DBAs in production and say, what are the worst top 20? Give us a worst top 20 list, and we'll start working on the top 20. Chances are, sort of from a percentile perspective, fixing the top 20, and I've done this for the last several years with my current customer, they've done it, I'll say, is work through this and you fix those top 20. By the time you get to your third year, you know, pretty much that top 20, wow, the big offenders aren't really a problem. The 20 look pretty simple, but you'll find that one bizarre, why the hell did you write it that way kind of thing, which you didn't think about.
And there's always outliers in the top 5 that are just so offensive.
Just bizarre. And could be a simple fix like a missing index. It could be over indexing. It could be really, really misaligned joins, right? So if your Cartesian products is whacked,
a poorly constructed embedded query is a part of the larger query.
Oh yeah, just bizarre stuff. Plus you've got nowadays much more encryption, either individual fields that are encrypted through external encryption or internal page level encryption. So you got people that are flipping on encryption without doing testing, depending on the page or the size of the object or the table. That could be costly, and it could add some things. So be aware in your database. One, get the top 20 and start working down the list. Can we fix them? Can we tune them? And look for those weird outliers for sure. The last thing I was going to say, James, in terms of the technical advice, I think it's inexcusable at this day and age for someone to not be doing the basics of Steve Souders' web performance optimization on the front end. It's so easy to do. Anyone can start analyzing this stuff, right? There's tons of tools.
And I hate to say it, but in all the developer tools for all the major browsers, there's an audit section where you can run audits in the unit test, component assembly, functional test phases long before you get to performance.
Oh, yeah.
and you can find these issues and you can fix them.
Yeah.
But I would encourage everybody, take commercial websites that you use often, run that audit feature on it where it reloads and audits the page.